Alright, this is my Dragon 32 disk drive. I've had this for over a year now, and I have actually never used it. Basically, at the time I got this, I had my Dragon and stuff set out on the table here, and basically the wife started moaning about the dining table being taken up by all my crap, so I basically took the huff and put everything away, and I haven't had the Dragon out since, although I'm surprised she hasn't moaned again, because there's a Dreamcast, a Spectrum, a PlayStation and a shitload of other stuff lying around the table here. But with getting the Dragon pickups, I decided to get this thing out again. So when I bought this, it was bought as untested, and when I got it, there was something rattling about inside it, and when I opened it, I found this spring, and yeah, I didn't even go any further as to trying to find where the spring goes. But when I put a floppy in, and you lock the drawer, or lock the drive, basically when you unlock it like that, it's meant to shoot the disc out a bit so that you can then grab hold of it. So as you can see there, the disc doesn't pop out. So I'm assuming that's what the spring is for. It's to push this floppy out. So I'm going to pull this thing apart and try and figure out where the spring goes. And then I will hopefully get to try this thing for the first time. Another reason why I never used this at the time was I didn't have a cable. This is basically a standard floppy drive cable, or floppy, from a PC, but it uses the same pins, but there's no twist. Now this is an actual floppy cable, but this would go to your motherboard. Then there's an adapter here, and then the last one has the twist in it. So I should be able to use this part of the cable from this connector to this connector to actually connect this to the Dragon. So at the time, I have a bag full of old IDE cables in the loft. So at the time I didn't actually go looking for it. But yeah, that's another reason why I never used this. And also, I didn't have the cartridge to connect this to the Dragon. When you bought a floppy drive, you would have got what's known as a DOS cartridge, and it's basically a cart, sort of like the game cartridges, but it has DOS built on it, and it has a connector on the back of it, which you would then plug your floppy cable into, or your drive cable. So the DOS cartridges are like hen's teeth. They're extremely rare, and when they do come up on eBay, they cost an absolute fortune. So I actually found a guy in Italy, if I remember right, who made me a custom DOS cartridge. And yeah, that is how I'm going to connect this to the Dragon, using the custom DOS cartridge which he put DOS on for me. He flashed it to the cartridge. So all going well, I should be able to connect this up and finally test to see if it works. This thing cost me over £100 just for the floppy drive, and like I said, it was listed as untested, but these things are extremely rare, so I thought at the time it was worth it. But then I just never got around to checking it out, to trying it. So we'll pop this thing open here and see if I can figure out where this bloody spring goes. So there's just 6 star screws around the outside of this thing that holds the top on. I did open it before when I heard what was rattling inside it. I just popped it open to see what it was and discovered that spring. Alright, so that's the top part of the case on. The thing about this is these actually is big enough to incorporate 2 drives. This is the bottom drive in there, and there's actually space here, a blank space for another drive. Although the front part of the case, this doesn't actually come out. It's one solid piece. But it was obviously the same sort of chassis that they used for the single and the double drives. So I need to figure out exactly, I'm going to have to take this top part out, I think, and it will hopefully allow me to see inside, and I can put the floppy in and see exactly where the spring is meant to go. That's the plan. Okay, well, that'll come off easy. Sweet. I think I need a bit more light on the subject here, for my own benefit. So can't. This is the disc fully in. Can't really see anywhere that the spring should sit. It's possibly under this circuit board. I hope not. If I try and bring you in a bit so you can see. So there's the disc coming in there. That's the head for the drive itself there. I don't really know. So that whole mechanism moves up and down with the lock. So that's it locked in place. So the spring must sit, just basically the floppy drive, it's the disc itself hits the spring, and then when you release that lock, the spring pushes that back out. Where the bloody hell did it go? Okay, so I've made a bit of progress here. I still don't know where this bloody spring goes, but I figured out that this mechanism here, if the camera will focus, thank you, this piece here, when you push the floppy in, the floppy pushes this up and it locks into place. And I had figured out that this spring part was in the wrong position. When it goes in, it's meant to sit like that, and then when you push the drive down and lock the floppy in, that's your mechanism for releasing this. So it sits like that, and then when it lifts up, it releases that. So that was sitting, this was sitting like that on the other side of that. So that's why the floppy wouldn't come out. So basically now, when I put the floppy in, it pushes that, sorry about the focus, pushes that and it locks, and then I lock this down so that's sitting ready to spring out. So the floppy is coming out now, which is what it wasn't doing. So where's this fucking spring come from? Is that spring even part of this? I have no idea. I hope it's not part of the main workings of it. I can't see where it would have came from. I don't have any experience with floppy drives, but this top board just plugs in that black connector there. So I was able to lift that up out of the way, no problem. Okay, so I did a bit of searching on the internet and I found this picture of the inside of one of these drives, and I think I've figured out exactly where the spring goes. Those of you with a keen eye will probably spot it. So if you look back at my drive, it appears that the spring sits in here and actually pushes the handle out. It's the handle for the lock mechanism. So it sits in here, but it appears there's a part broken. If I can zoom in a bit for you here. So there's a spud here for the spring to sit on, and there's meant to be another one here for the other end of the spring, just on this plastic part. Let's see if I can get a bit more light on the subject here. So yeah, it appears that the plastic spud has broken off from there. Sorry about the light. So just at the centre of that there, you can sort of see a little piece of it still remaining. So that's where the spring's meant to go. So I don't know how I'm going to reattach that end of the spring because there's no spud there for it. I may try some hot glue or something, maybe might work. If I get enough hot glue around it, it should be a reasonably solid fix, because there's gonna be, it won't be pulling on the spring, if you know what I mean. So I really don't know what other way to go about fixing that, because the plastic spud is completely broken off there. If you can sort of see it there, can't you? So yeah, that's where the spring goes. So it's just a matter of figuring out how the hell I'm going to reattach it. I'll probably try a bit of hot glue, see what happens, see if it lasts. Alright, so I actually took this latch part out. I managed to get the front panel off enough to release this part, and I was able to just slide that out. And in typical fashion, my hot glue gun died on me. I have no luck with hot glue guns. I've been through 2 or 3 of them in the past couple of years. So I just melted the end of a glue stick with a lighter and dripped it on. So if I can show you here, this is the top side of the latch, so I was able to put like a bulge on that side because it doesn't interfere with anything. On the bottom side I had to make sure that it was flat, because I had a bulge on that side as well, but it was actually interfering with the floppy disk as it went in. So I just sort of heated it up again and squashed it flat with a bit of insulating tape. So that should be it, ready to stick back in again. Hopefully it should hold okay, because the spring is just pushing. There's going to be no pulling involved, or even probably up or down movement really. So I'm hoping that should hold it indefinitely. Okay, so that's it reassembled, apart from the top part of the case. So you can see my rough repair there. Doesn't look the prettiest, but just as long as it's strong enough. So really what it does is when you pull the handle down and it gets to its lock position, it pushes it out, and then to release you just push it in and it pops up. And then with the other spring part that I fixed there, are put into the right position. When you put your floppy in, it stays in place. You push that down, it locks into place, and then when you're finished you just push that in and your floppy pops out. So that's it, provided that hot glue holds. I don't anticipate any other problems. So really all I have to do now is actually plug this thing into the Dragon and use it. So hope you enjoyed watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.